Hello, good evening. Indeed, a great pleasure to come your way on the Independence Day holiday. This is Business Life. My name is Emmanuel Apwaji Riafe. And coming up in tonight's edition, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, initiates processes towards rebranding the country as part of efforts to make the country more attractive to investors 60 years after independence. National Communications Authority NCA set to begin discussions with officials of Airtel and Tigo over planned merger. And also in the bulletin, Joy Business explores evolution of the kenkey industry over the past 60 years. Thank you very much for staying on. This is Business Live. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with the details. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta said Ghanaians across the country and other parts of the world today marked 60 years of independence in Accra. The ceremony was witnessed by a large section of the public, including foreign dignitaries as well as government appointees. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, in an interview with Joy Business, reiterated government's resolve to make the private sector a pivot for developing the economy. He also justified the abolition of some nuisance taxes during the presentation of the 2017 budget statement.
I mean, how does that respond to Ghana Standards Boards? I mean, that's a very different issue. I think really the issue was a deep belief that if you liberate people and the state is not coercive, they will be able to be more productive and they will do more. And I think the response from the country, you know, maybe illustrate that that's the fact of the matter. But we are very committed to a private sector rating agenda, but also clear on what we call the preferential option for the poor, so that in anything we do, as the private sector becomes a locomotive, the poor are not taken out. And that is why the taxes are so expansive, covering everybody. And this is a nation where people matter, and we are not going to build this economy without everybody coming up.
Okay. You took over office some few months ago, but I want to find out from what do you think is the real challenge with Ghana's economy 60 years on?
I don't know. I think we just need to get together, and there's so much. We have so much in resources. We are so endowed, and we have a great, people. That really, I don't see any limit. I think once we are disciplined, we are obedient to our God, and we work hard, there's really no limit. There's really no limit to what I can see the future being. And I think as you heard the President's speech today, it is one of optimism for the future, but the issues of corruption have to be curtailed, and just a commitment to work hard.
And as we celebrate political freedom from our colonial masters, can the same be said for economic freedom? Why is our economy still dependent on donors? Joe Abe is an economist and former diplomat who also served under several governments in the post-independence era.
In life, sadly, people have their own national or personal interests. The donors may like the status quo in which they produce for us processed or industrialized goods, and we keep exporting our raw materials. They may like it. They will not have the raw materials. In some cases, even if they had, they'll be more conservative about the rate at which they exhaust. So the donors, you can't blame them. We blame ourselves. If we want to perpetuate the status quo, no matter what our political rhetoric might be, why should we blame other people? You said it right. The industrialization strategy in Ghana at the time may have made sense, but it needs to be revisited. Why should we not recognize the limitations of the import substitution strategy, which did not build on raw materials easily available or producible in Ghana, but was based on importing and sometimes adding very little value to the imports. So that strategy will work so long as cocoa, gold, timber, diamonds were all producing for you foreign exchange. So you can import whatever you wanted to import, do very little value addition, and think you're industrializing. You are not industrializing. And the moment, of course, you also had donor aid flows, which they can, but they had more than your development as a reason for coming to help you. They had their own geopolitical reasons. They had seen 2 world wars. They didn't want the 3rd world war, starting from the periphery where the little ones are fighting among themselves, and that could draw them in. So they had their reasons. And I don't like anything like you blame people for knowing what they're about. It is you who must say, but what am I doing where I am? So the thing is that import substitution industrialization did not focus on adding value to domestically available raw materials. And that is what you have kept. So once you begin to experience difficulties in procuring the foreign exchange to bring the raw materials, equipment, spare parts, then you begin to have problems with your industrial sector. So you get manufacturing dwindling instead of expanding.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, has initiated processes towards rebranding the country. This forms part of efforts by the center to make Ghana more attractive, especially to investors, as the country marks the 60th anniversary celebration. The new government has emphasized its resolve to revamp the economy through partnerships with both domestic and foreign investors, and has therefore challenged entrepreneurs to present their proposals for consideration. Speaking with Joy Business, Chief Executive Yofi Grant said the center will exploit all avenues, especially social media, towards effectively marketing the country to the rest of the world.
I think that it's about time we rebranded with a lot more originality and go out to the market to showcase who we are. Like I said,
what do you mean by that?
For example, we at GIPC, we've been thinking about rebranding, trying to get symbols and images that are depictive of our traditions and culture, and also going out with a tagline that makes us attractive. I mean, you see that today's world, the attraction for investment is pretty competitive. So you have a lot of countries out there. They have their own taglines, they have their own symbols that are like logos for the country, and they are symbolic, so they attract people. When you see them in places, you know what they mean. And we think that we can, even with our own logo, GIPC, we can indigenize it, such that it's typically Ghanaian, but also very attractive and new world, and therefore when people see, they want to know what that is and what that means. It's all part of selling. We need to sell ourselves. We need to first market ourselves and then to sell ourselves. So at 60 years, we are soon looking at throwing out a competition, open-wide national competition, such that we can have our local people, whether they're graphic designers or they're artists, come out with a logo that they think represents us as a people and our entrepreneurship drive, our ingenuity and our industry and all that. And it may that we may find something, may that we'll still stick to where we are. But at least we want to bring some excitement that people want to see us. We want to make ourselves more visible by embracing new media. And by new media, I mean social media. That's platforms like Facebook, like Twitter, Instagram, that today have become the main transmission mode of news. I mean, a lot of the young people are no more watching TV, except it's showbiz, or they're no more reading newspapers, but they are constantly on the net. And I think it's a good platform for us to market ourselves.
This is Business Live. Away from those stories, the National Communications Authority, NCA, should later this week start engaging officials of Airtel and Tigo over their planned merger. These meetings could possibly lead to the regulator approving the proposed marriage between the two entities. George Rafi has more on this.
Sources say the engagement will look at implications of the marriage on the telecoms market, taking into consideration all the necessary competition rules to ensure it doesn't create only two dominant players in the country. The regulators will be seeking clarity on how the joint entity will be going about integrating its systems, merging roles in terms of job functions, and what will happen to government stake in Airtel. According to sources, it could take more than a year for the process to be completed. Joy Business is learning that Orange could come in and acquire the merged entity. According to persons with knowledge of the transaction, this is based on what has happened in other markets where Airtel and Tigo operates. Orange has already acquired interest in Airtel and even Tigo in some markets in Africa. This has also been supported by news that the parent company of Airtel Africa is working to remove its holding in the region to concentrate on the Indian market. Joy Business learns the parent company of Tigo is also concentrating on other markets, and all these developments, analysts say, gives credence to Orange's possible takeover of the merger. The parent companies of the two entities last Friday announced that they plan to combine their operations. A statement issued by the two companies indicated that they will have equal rights in the combined entity and hence putting at number 2 in the telecoms market with 10 million subscribers.
Now to some aviation stories where Air France says its entry into Ghana should bring out some serious competition on the Accra, Europe and America routes. Air France has now begun scheduled flights to Accra. President of Air France and KLM, Jean-Marc Janelec, said they decided to fly to Accra because of developments in the country.
Studied, and we are already flying to 51 cities in Africa, and KLM is flying with much success from Accra to Amsterdam, and we have seen in the figures that there were opportunities and there were room for more flights from Air France KLM, but this time flights to Paris on top of the flights to Amsterdam. So it's a major offer, a bigger offer that allows more opportunities to people in Ghana.
One would ask that, what is your expectations of this route? Anytime people wanted to come to Paris, they had to connect and there's a direct flight. What are your expectations going forward?
We are expecting that the route will be successful enough in order to allow us to increase our flights to more flights a week, and it's what we want to do, and we are going to work hard here in Ghana and also in our sales offices all over Europe and other countries in the world to fill this flight.
Now, some owners of retail outlets have identified the high cost of utility and infrastructure as the main cause of the low patronage of goods in shopping malls across the capital. Some reports have indicated recently overall sales in most shopping malls are recording dwindling sales records. This according to the CEO of food retail chain outlet Yomart. Superstore Sergei Lushenko is due to the high cost of doing business in the country. He was, however, hopeful things would be better soon. He spoke at the grand opening of the Yomart shop in Adenta.
Well, it's not easy. We are hoping that with a change in politics in Ghana, there will be also changes for the business. But all businesses in the same conditions, so in the same situation. So who performs better wins. But of course, the less problems, the better. Well, there are many challenges, but they are common for most of the business. It's the situation with electricity, it's situation with training of the personnel. But with every store that we're opening, we have less and less challenges because we're finding solutions. I think in Ghana, there were a lot of investment in shopping centers. Probably there are too many of them. The prices for rent are high. That's why retailing prices are also very high, and it cannot bring a lot of customers inside. So people are looking for better, convenient places like Yomart.
You're watching the holiday edition of Business Live. We're taking a short breather here. We'll be back after this. Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to Business Live. Now, moving on, it's Heritage Month, and as part of the celebration of Ghana's 60th anniversary, Joy Business has been exploring the evolution of culture, food, and tradition over the past 60 years. This week on the Heritage Month, Kenkey is the spotlight. Kukua Apia explores the evolving business of Kenkey, which emerged as just a tabletop venture, and now a unique cultural identity.
It's Heritage Month, and the Joy Business team is taking a journey through the evolution of Ghanaian foods. This week, the spotlight is on the popular Ga Kenkey, or Komi or Nkran Dokun in local parlance. Despite the mystery surrounding its origin, Kenkey has come to stay, having stood the test of time. The local corn-based delicacy, which goes through some tedious processes before coming out cooked, has emerged as one of Ghana's most loved foods sold on the market today. So I decided to go to one of the oldest vending spots, popularly known as Kenkey House in Osu. Founder of Kenkey House, 83-year-old Lydia Anoa Kwaku, explains how the famine of 1983 pushed her to innovate in the food service industry.
In the past, it was very good. I used to sell in Tema Station in 83 during the famine. But as time passed, I was told to move the business back home. I wasn't sacked though. I was told that it would be better for business if I moved it to my home at the time. Business boomed there, but I had to retire because I was tired.
After retiring in 2010, due to health issues, Madam Lydia Anoa Kwaku handed the business over to her daughter, Cecilia Nweki Adimorton, who has since been running the business. We asked her how much the Kenkey business has changed over the years.
The structure of the place, the time, they close at that time, they close early around 6, but right now we close around 10, 9. But first, when my mom was there, we be giving castle anise, Kenkey, and when I took over, I was giving some of the programs. Food vending is a very good business.
She goes on to highlight what changes need to be made to better improve the industry.
You can repackage it in a nicer way than tourists that come to the country can have interest in the local dishes. And sometimes you can package the fancy Kenkey too and export it. Oh, actually, how to boil it, you can't use any other material to cover it. The corn axe itself is a medicine, and you can't use any other. Then when you use a rubber, plastic or something, because it have a lot of health hazards, so I recommend that they use the corn axe because it's a medicine in itself.
The Kenkey business has indeed evolved from the usual tabletop vending in trays and aluminium pans covered in plastic bags. It has also moved away from just an everyday food to a celebrated delicacy, well patronized by foreigners as well. The annual Kenkey Festival is one of the platforms on which Kenkey sellers across the country come to display and advertise. We're currently at the Kenkey Festival. It's an annual festival that celebrates the making of Kenkey, which is something that has existed in Ghana since pre-colonial times. It's somewhere where hundreds of people come for an entire day just to come and enjoy the Ga delicacy. We're going to speak to some people, some participants of the festival, to find out what makes them come here every year to taste Kenkey.
Just the Kenkey. And to meet my friends. And it's my first time, so I wanted to see how it's like.
One of the best ways to also celebrate Ghana during this period is through our culture. Food is one key element in terms of culture. So I decided to come here with my friend. I have a lot of friends also coming from various places. It's just to put ourselves in the independence mood. It's an exciting period for all of us as Ghanaians. We believe that this period also opens a new chapter in our life as a country. Ghana at 60. Going forward, how can we also put our foods at the international level?
Thanks to technology, Kenkey has now gone digital, with online Kenkey company Kenkey.com providing Kenkey lovers the convenience of buying their Kenkey online. We spoke to founder Edward Benedict to find out how his company is taking the industry digital.
Using technology, would you say that it's made your job easier or faster?
Yeah, it makes it faster for us, but at times too, it's stressful because people don't normally call us on time, and you know, it's not something like right that you have to put it. It's Kenkey, so you have to make it very well. Then it's very difficult for us actually. It's not easy.
60 years on, and the business of Kenkey seems to be making giant strides. The ever-popular Komi Kekena is here to stay. This is Kukwa Apia reporting for Joy Business.
And that's a wrap for the holiday edition of Business Live today. Many thanks for your company, and to continue to enjoy Ghana's 60th independence anniversary. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Let's meet again tomorrow for another edition of the program. Good evening.